what's the real story with our economic problems? How did we get into this mess? That's what we'll talk about in this Lunch Alert. It's important to really understand it, and let me offer you my perspective on it. We had a recession, a regular, normal recession that comes along every 5 or 10 years, and it started, the economists say, in June of 2007, and it ended in June of 2009. Now, Obama took office in January of 2009, before the recession ended, and he was determined to take bold, vigorous action to deal with the recession. He felt that that was necessary. He felt that without that, the recession could drag on forever. And the result is that he injected a massive amount of new spending into the economy through the stimulus package in an effort to jumpstart the economy. People would spend the money they were given, they would buy things, people would make more things, they'd hire more people, and the economy would get back in gear. But the problem was that he borrowed the money he spent. And that was a massive debt to impose on the global capital system. Obama borrowed $1.5 trillion that year, and since he's been in office, he's added $5 to $6 trillion to the national debt. And state and local governments have added another $3 or $4 trillion, and foreign governments have done their share. By the time you put it all together, the debt held by governing bodies throughout the world, states, localities, federal government, international, national, foreign governments, was $15 trillion when he took office, and now it's $28 trillion. And the gross domestic product of the world, the value of the global economy, is only $65 trillion. So it was a huge increase in the debt, a dramatic increase in the debt. And that scared everybody to death. It made people throughout the world think this pyramid is going to come crashing down. We can't have this level of debt. We can't possibly repay it. And the result was some countries like Spain and Portugal and Italy and Greece found it very hard or impossible to borrow money. The United States saw its credit rating drop. But more importantly than any of this, a wave of panic gripped the world and gripped the United States. So what Obama did in response to this was to keep spending more money and keep borrowing more money because he figured he hadn't done enough to jumpstart the economy. But he didn't realize that the more he did of that, the more he was building up the debt that was freezing everybody in fear. Our problem right now isn't that we don't have enough money. We're drowning in money. He's tripled the money supply since he took office, from $800 billion to $2.4 trillion. Households have $1 trillion that they've made over the last 4 years because of federal stimulus, and they've used $900 billion of it to pay down their credit cards, student loans, mortgages, home loans, car loans, all that stuff, because they're afraid this is the last check they're ever going to see. And corporations have gotten $1 trillion of stimulus money, and they are not investing it in jobs. They're sitting on it, on their books, under their mattress, figuratively, rather than investing it in their own company. And banks, apart from the TARP money, have $1 trillion the government has given them by buying treasury notes and mortgage securities, and they're not lending it. They're sitting with it right in their vault. So you have about $4 trillion sitting in cash in our economy. And it's absolutely a horrible situation. And investors aren't investing, borrowers aren't borrowing, lenders aren't lending, and consumers aren't spending. Not because there's not enough money, but because of terror over what the debt is going to do. Franklin Roosevelt said in 1933 when he was inaugurated as president, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror that converts needed efforts to make advances into retreats." That's precisely what we have now. And what Obama keeps doing is spending and borrowing more and more, aggravating the sense of insecurity. It's like the days in the Middle Ages when they said people are sick because they have evil spirits inside them. So what the doctors did then was they'd cut a guy's vein open, take out his blood, and when he was half dead, they'd say, "See, he still has evil spirits in him," and they'd take out the rest. And when he died from lack of blood, they'd say, "I told you he had evil spirits all along." That's what Obama's doing, in spending and borrowing his way to what he sees as prosperity, but in fact is just a deepening, deepening downward spiral. So that's why, and I just wanted to lay that out for you, and that's why we need an administration that stops the spending, stops the borrowing, loosens the belt, and lets the rest of the world say, Maybe we're not headed for global bankruptcy. Maybe the U.S. is no longer going to be taking out these huge loans. Maybe we can make it. And then the whole thing becomes unfrozen and the economy begins to move again because the terror that held it in check abates. That's what we need to accomplish in the November election. Thanks a lot for watching. Now, Obama may be hitting below the belt, but Dubs doesn't. My dog, who's running for president in our new children's book, Dubs Runs for President, is a very clean campaigner. He wouldn't do any of that kind of stuff. But he is a competitor. He's running as the nominee of the Canine Party, opposing Felix the Cat on the Feline Party. So Dubs faced Felix in the general election. One would win, the other faced rejection. They each worked hard to get every last vote, campaigning by car, air, train, and boat. And you see here the debate between Felix and Dubs. And then Dubs was out every day, sun or rain, traveling around our country in his own private train. And every time that train came to a stop, Dubs gave a speech and came out on top. So the purpose of this book is to entertain, but also so your kids and your grandkids can follow the political process and understand what's going on, as seen through the eyes of Dubs, my lovely dog. Thank you.